And thank you to bringing all of us here together for today for this conversation. I have identified with lots of things that everyone has said, especially Leslie, a lot of your learnings. You know, these have been crazy times. Like so many of you, we all thought that we were, closing up shop on March 13th of 2020 and going home for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and it didn't turn out that way. So GMMB, my firm, does a wide range of political and advocacy work. At the time of 2020, we had about 225 people. We had a presidential campaign. We had all of our amazing ongoing clients. We were doing tons of COVID communications. But luckily, our experience in politics and policy and advertising really allowed us to pivot quickly and to be able to stand up all of the work that we needed to be able to do without missing a beat. And in hindsight, I kind of feel like I shouldn't have been surprised. We were all surprised, but I shouldn't have been surprised that we were able to work so collaboratively and so well together. I mean, it is in our DNA. Over time, like all of you, I'm sure we've had twists and turns and lots of times where we said, oh, give us time, give us space, wait 1 second, what's your opinion? We need your input. Let's kick the can down the road a little bit further. And as we really had to respond to each of the new realities that we have faced and that we're still facing, as you mentioned about the New York Times today. Where we are now, we surveyed staff at key moments to get their input. We feel what we have found is that people felt like we made remote working work. Less commuting, similar quality of work, and learning the art of hybrid engagement with each other, so that instead of working across a table, that we can work both across a table or across a screen, and sometimes both. As anybody who's conducted a hybrid meeting knows, it is challenging. Well, it's certainly challenging for me, but I'm learning. We've also found that a level of flexibility is the best thing that we can do to serve everybody well, to serve the people who work here, to serve our clients, to serve the culture, and to serve the firm. As somebody had mentioned earlier, I never would have fathomed that as possible. So far away from how we had operated for the previous 3 decades. We've positioned ourselves to continue to attract and retain the best talent. And so that has meant that we've needed to introduce a lot more flexibility in terms of how we think about positions, especially when we have found positions where we've had difficulty finding people, that by expanding our universe, that we have been able to find additional talent out there. And finally, we feel like we have, this is a key point made earlier, that when you commit to a fair and equitable approach, it really is based on shared purpose and trust. And I don't think that I had ever felt like we hadn't trusted people, but this took it to a whole nother level. I don't know if it was metaverse level because I am my own avatar, but it took it to a whole new level of trust, or of people perceiving trust. So where we've landed, we're going to have to keep working on improving our tools and training. And I think that that's really key, especially manager training. It is hard to do. As you all know, when you are managing a lot of clients and managing a lot of work, and you want to do the best possible work for your clients. So that's something that we're always going to keep, that we will continually need to improve. We are asking people to be in the office 1 to 2 days a week, and we have hub days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because what we know is that people want to be in the office when it makes sense to be in the office, when you're going to be able to be together. But with supervisors figuring out what works for the team and the work and the clients, and some of our people aren't in the office 1 to 2 days a week. For all the reasons. So we're just kind of trying to be flexible, be thoughtful, and not come up with any big demands one way or the other, just to be in touch with the people who work here and be in touch with our clients to be sure that we are serving them well. And we're really continuing to work at connecting personally on a human level. And I'm not glad that we're all struggling with this, but I'm glad that we're not the only people who are struggling with it, because there's so much that we can learn about new ways to work together that have really been inspiring and exciting and kind of leading us forward as we move ahead.
Thanks, Annie. I know we just tried something brand new that we started, a thing called Motivosity, which is a new way of interacting with each other. It's something I'd encourage people to look at, that Dee Alsop, as our co-CEO, brought to our company, and we've just barely started. It's an interesting way of using tech to interact with each other and recognize each other when we're not all together. I did have two very quick questions for you on this. On your talent in finding people from all over, you've expanded the pool of where you're hiring now. Has that led to yet any decisions, kind of to Leslie's point of the renegotiation of what that means from a financial and a pay of people? Now all of a sudden you can be hiring people that live in Des Moines and not just in DC or New York City. And from an office perspective of having that interaction, have you made any design changes yet with your office physical space, given that shift to the hub mode you talked about?
We have not, let's see, in terms of the office space, we have this amazing office space in all of our offices. I mean, we're right on the Potomac. You can look out the window. I thought about taking the camera over there, but we have a combination of offices and more general space. We have enough little offices that we built into the space when we designed it 10 years ago that people can go have space to work by themselves. So we're having more people who are sharing offices based on the days of the week that they're going to be here. That part has all worked fairly smoothly right now. I think that over time it becomes more complicated, just depending on how many people are actually coming into the space. And eventually you could imagine a situation where you don't need as much space as we have, given the amount of time that people are going to spend in the office.
What Daniel was talking about at the beginning, yeah.
Yes, exactly. In terms of compensation, that has been a slower, I would say that we're a little bit slower in terms of figuring that out. We have, so far, we have tried to think about the compensation as it relates to the work rather than the location. But I think that that's another big issue for all of us to think about.